Sony has stumbled upon a potential gold mine, and that's, of course, a Spider-Verse of their own on the big screen. Based on it's all started with the huge popularity. Well, it was a growing popularity of Into the Spider-Verse. That film was a slow burn, but boy, it really blew up to the point where people are super excited about Across the Spider-Verse. And I think it's pretty clear that Spider-Verse inspired No Way Home, which is an undeniable mega success. So it's a very good idea to continue to build on those two movies. But for some reason, even though it's obvious how this should be executed, Sony seems to have no freaking clue, as evidenced by today's Madam Web announcement. I think we were all kind of like, and check out my solo video on that, link down below, but I think when we heard that this morning, we were all kind of like, you're still doing that, huh? Because here's what they obviously should do. Now, I think a big part of why they're not obviously doing this is because they've already greenlit a lot of projects and signed a lot of contracts. But you know what? And because then those projects don't fit with the new direction they should clearly be going in, which is, by the way, very similar to Warner Brothers' ongoing problem with their DC movies. They go, some talent bends their ear and says, you know what character I've always thought I could do something better with? And they're like, sure, go ahead and try it. And we're like, what? But you know what? I would say this to both Warner Brothers and Sony. There ain't no shame in canceling contracts. It happens. Just ask Channing Tatum, who recently revealed that he was sad he didn't get to make his romantic comedy Gambit movie. Whew, we all dodged a bullet there, boy. Just because a Hollywood talent is excited about their cool and unique take on a comic book character that they may or may not have been a fan of ever, doesn't mean it's a good idea. Like for every Joker, and they've done 2 great experiments with that character, but there's also a movie like Birds of Prey, which just doesn't work. And you have people behind the camera who just don't get the characters that they're trying to bring to the fans. All right, so obviously every studio wants their own MCU. That's what's driving all this, right? But there's only one Kevin Feige. That's not a problem, though, because Star Wars is demonstrating that others have this skill set and their names are not Jeff Johns, who does not have this skill set. Jeff Johns is just pushing his own comics so he can get the revenue off of the resales. But anyway, and the prestige. But I think Kevin Feige's not a creator. He's got no skin in the game. He just wants to be a successful producer. I think that's a big problem. Well, Jeff Johns is also really not a nice person. But anyway, back to Star Wars, they're finally doing it. I mean, look at the glory of yesterday's Boba Fett episode. They're building their own MCU. They're building it. They're using the MCU as a blueprint, and there ain't no shame in that either, with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni at the helm. Fascinatingly, Johnny Favs also helped build the MCU in the early days, right? And has directed several other incredibly successful films. The man doesn't get enough credit. He's like the original Jordan Peele. It's funny how similar those two paths are. A fan favorite comedy duo where one member found great success, perhaps even greater success than the other member, behind the camera, right? So Sony has 2 building blocks as their foundation here and to show them the way forward with Into the Spider-Verse and No Way Home. It doesn't even matter, by the way, that one of those movies is animated, as Marvel and Star Wars are already going back and forth between live action and animation beautifully. Right now, Sony has their Tom Holland movies, their animated Miles Morales movies, and then all these dumb spin-offs. They've got Morbius, Kraven the Hunter, Venom 3, Olivia Wilde's supposed Spider-Woman project, and now Madam Web. Venom has done very well, and that's like with also DC. You get one hit and you think, oh, maybe you're on the right path. Well, I'll tell you right now, you're not on the right path. That was just an anomaly. You lucked out. Don't follow that. I think that people love Tom Hardy, and I think people love Venom. And I think people keep getting suckered into these movies because of the potential of that combination, which has yet to be realized. Now, I appreciated the first movie for what it was, a fun 90s spoof almost in many ways. And some of it, and we were divided on the first Venom movie. But I think we can all agree the second Venom movie was not good. And it really only did very well because people were hyped about the return of the Marvel movies, particularly also Spider-Man No Way Home on the horizon. And Venom very clearly, it's like a little bit like how although I think Captain Marvel is a better movie than Venom too. But Captain Marvel succeeded from being like the appetizer for a big event movie that everybody was excited about. And I think that's why Venom 2 blew up the way that it did. I mean, everyone went for that end credit scene. Even though it leaked, people had to see it for themselves. And then Venom ended up spending one end credit scene in the MCU. That was ridiculous. All right, so anyway, I think Sony should scrap all their plans, or they are in legit danger of being the new DC. And you don't want to be the new DC. Maybe these characters that they're playing with now could get streaming shows, right? You can give them streaming shows. You could do that. Although you don't have a service to put them on, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But Sony should build their Spider-Man movies off of their main heroes, and then put the villains in those movies. Pair them up there. People don't want to see Venom 3 unless he's fighting a Spider-Person, preferably Andrew Garfield, because Andrew Garfield's Spider-Verse wasn't that great. We just really want to take Andrew Garfield and maybe Jamie Foxx out of it, and we can put them over with Tom Holland. Tom Hardy. Lots of Toms over there. Now, here are the obvious heroes to build out into their own movie paths, like you do with different members of the Avengers, right? So there's Tom Holland's superb storyline. Oh, it's really cooking with gas now. It got really, really good with No Way Home, especially at the end, as it finally broke away from the MCU and being so Iron Man reliant, and that served its purpose. It was good in the beginning, but now I think Tom Holland is ready to stand on his own in stories that are more Spider-Man-y. I mean, the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home was so Spider-Man comics, it was incredible. But there's a rumor going around that live-action Miles Morales will be introduced in Spider-Man 4, as a friend Peter makes now that he has a new life after Doctor Strange made all of his old friends and family forget him. I actually don't like that, to be honest with you. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take Miles Morales any way I can get him. I love Miles. But I think Miles Morales works best when his Spider-Man dies, so that he's not a sidekick. That would be a disaster. If Sony wants to really step in it, they don't do that. I beg you, don't do that. I mean, you already gave Tom Holland Miles' best friend. That's bad enough. Don't sidekick him, man. That's going to be so bad. That's going to be so bad. All right, so anyway. So I think Miles Morales should have his own line of live-action movies, or stay just animated, and occasionally swing into the crossover movies that they're kind of, I'm sure, continue to do because this was so successful, Cool World style. Will it be Shameik Moore? Or it could be a different Miles from a different multiverse, because now they can do that. I would love to see Jake Johnson, by the way, swing over to live action as Peter B. Parker. He could totally do it. And even Nicolas Cage as Spider-Noir. Why not? I think that could be fun. The problems here, though, obviously, are Haley Steinfeld's Spider-Gwen and Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara, because they're already in the MCU as Kate Bishop and Moon Knight, and all Spider-Man characters and all the multiverses need to be able to show up in the MCU as they're now connected. So for live action, those would need to be recast or be different versions, again, from different multiverses, which would account, again, for maybe doing a different take with Miles in live action. I think it's very important to people that the actor playing Miles be both of, African and Latino heritage, just like the character is. I hope Sony does not overlook that. But anyway, everyone wants to see Emma Stone's Spider-Gwen. People are very excited about that. She'd be fabulous, right? And Emma Stone has a contract over at Disney, but it's not in the MCU. So she is available. She would work. And she and Kirsten Dunst were supposed to be in No Way Home, but, because of coronavirus, they weren't able to do that. Then there's Andrew Garfield, who, again, should clearly swing over to Tom Hardy's Venomverse and take Jamie Foxx's upgraded Electro with him. Sure, why not? He was fun in the movie. I thought he did a nice job in No Way Home. And of course, Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, if he'll do it. Maguire was the hardest to convince to return, and he's also the oldest actor in the group. But Michael Keaton's back as Batman. Everyone's excited about that. And Maguire, with Kirsten Dunst too, again, she was supposed to come back. They could tell really unique Spider-Man stories as he passes the mantle on to his daughter, Mayday Parker, a very popular version of Spider-Girl from the comics. And I'm not saying you bench Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I mean, this is early days for his daughter. She's just getting into it. He's still maybe moonlighting as a vigilante. I think you could do really cool stuff there. I mean, I thought the gag with his back, which was a take on what happened to him when he fell in Spider-Man 2, that was funny. That was good. You could do more stuff like that, and it would make those movies be different than what you're telling with Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. It's great. It's still, I think, a huge missed opportunity that in No Way Home, Tobey didn't tell Tom that he'd named his daughter May, especially because Tom's May had just passed away. It would have been a nice thing to do. And then Andrew Garfield could have been like, that is a nice thing to do, man. That's swell. All right, fine. Finally, That's at least 4 lines of films, right? Simultaneously. And I know Sony wants a female lead, so that's clearly Spider-Gwen, who's already a hit with audiences. And that makes 5 lines of films. And then you have big Avengers level crossover movies in between, which is where you use an older or younger version of Madam Web, not in her own movie. And then you pick and choose your villains to go against all the heroes in those different movies. And since they're in a multiverse, you can do different versions of the same iconic villains, which Into the Spider-Verse did really well, right? With Catherine Hahn's Doc Ock. I mean, look at the fun they could have. I mean, it's fantastic. And that's a lot of movies right there. You don't need a Craven movie. Put Craven in one of these movies. It's super obvious. Let's see how close Sony can get to that without Feige or Favreau. Even a Colin Trevorrow, who's doing a wonderful job with the Jurassic World brand. And I have a lot of respect for Amy Pascal. You know, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is finally finding success because she found Favreau and Filoni, right? I mean, Amy Pascal doesn't have to go anywhere. Like Kathleen Kennedy, Amy Pascal is old school Hollywood, and she is handling this franchise as Hollywood would have done back in the day. Both these women, you know, well, Kathleen Kennedy found hers, but Pascal needs somebody, and I hope Pascal is smart enough to realize this. She needs someone who knows this comic book material backwards and forwards and loves it, plus understands what fans want out of blockbuster franchises these days. I'd love it to be a woman. I'd love it women read comics. Women like comics. You just need to find one of those women. You know, they're out there. Trust me. I like comics, and I know a number of number of women who watch this channel love comics and understand them. So, but yeah, you need someone like that to be. Amy Pascal needs a partner. And I think the sooner that she, you know, and it can't be Kevin Feige all the time because he has his own thing to do. Amy Pascal needs a partner, and there ain't no shame in that. Again, no shame, especially since Amy Pascal is a very prolific producer who's making movies outside of Spider-Man. It's not what defines her. So, you know, she should, Little Women was fantastic. It was fantastic. Greta Gerwig, do you by any chance read Spider-Man comics? I don't think she does. But, you know, Amy Pascal has a good eye for talent. She brought in Phil Lord and Chris Miller on the Miles Morales movies, who are executive producers. I think she's really savvy, and so she needs to look for this Spider-Man fan who also knows the movie business. All right, share your thoughts down below. What do you think Sony should do? Again, I think it's pretty obvious. Share those thoughts down below. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.